Today we're interviewing Mr. Alan Dickerson, the outgoing city manager for the city of Sachse. Today is May the 22nd. I believe it's the 22nd, isn't it?
It is.
22nd.
Yep, 2015.
It's about 11 o'clock at the city hall offices. Would you give us your name and tell us your position here at the city?
I am Alan Dickerson, and I'm the interim city manager for the second time. So.
For the second time, yeah. Oh, and by the way, is it all right if we record this and use it for the Historical Society?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah, you were here before. Could you tell us a little bit about your? Well, let's start back at the beginning. Where were you born,
Okay.
and where did you raise? Where were you raised in schools? And
Absolutely,
things?
Bobby. Bobby, I'm originally from Mississippi, southeast Mississippi, a little town called Lucedale, about 45 miles north of Pascagoula, Mississippi, 30 miles east of Mobile, Alabama. So, country boy, raised up in the country, and that's where I grew up and lived, and went to school for a couple of years in Mississippi in college and junior college, and when I graduated from there, I went to Mississippi State, was there one semester, and decided that I would take a sabbatical from school, and I guess it's maybe where you're going with that, kind of how I got started in government, if you want to.
Yeah, anything about you?
I was in church one of my cousins was in church with a gentleman that had just been elected the county clerk of my home county. He was going into office in January of '76, and was building his staff for his county office, and my cousin knew that I was coming back home, and had asked James if he would consider bringing me in as part of his staff. So in January '76, long story short, James hired me as his bookkeeper, and I was a bookkeeper. At the time, I thought I was going to be his personal bookkeeper because he had statutory fees and all this kind of stuff that he collected over the counter from a public office. And I thought I was going to be helping him with that, but he actually hired me as bookkeeper for the county. I was doing the county's payroll, their budgets, and accounts payable, and so that's really how.
This was in Mississippi.
In Mississippi,
Okay.
George County, Mississippi, and so that's kind of how I got started in working for counties and cities and in the public sector, and did that in '76. Worked a year and a half, and decided, I really like doing this. So I went back, resigned that position, and went back to school, and just so happened was introduced to a small private Christian college in Louisiana through a church that I had worked in a summer mission program in the summer of '77. So I went to school. They introduced me to this college in Louisiana. It's Louisiana College, Pineville, Louisiana. Went to school there for about 2.5 years, completed my degree in public administration. And when I finished that degree in 1979, the county that I was working for in Mississippi, George County, they hired me back as their controller. So I went back to Mississippi in January of 1980 and worked there for about 3.5 years for the county again. And then when I left that position, I moved back to Louisiana, central Louisiana, to Alexandria, Louisiana, and had an opportunity to go to work in parish government in Rapides Parish, Louisiana. And I worked there for about 7 years in the clerk of court's office and in Rapides Parish, and doing personnel work and purchasing and some civil suit accounting type stuff. And then that's where I met my wife, and we got married in August of 1990. And that's the time she had already moved to Dallas in '89. We got married in '90, and then I moved to Texas in August of 1990. We got married and made the move, and started got a job with Highland Village, over in Louisville, in the Louisville area with the city of Highland Village. And I worked there for about 7 years, about 10 years, almost 10 years with Highland Village, and came to work, no, it was 7 years, I'm sorry. And then when I left Highland Village, I came to Sachse. I came here in, I guess, October of 97, I believe. Yeah, October 1997. Was hired here at the city of Sachse as a finance director. And I worked here as director of finance under Bill Atkinson, and then a little bit under Lloyd Henderson. Fortunate to get to know Lloyd, and then Bill Atkinson, and then a little bit under Alan Barnes, the city manager. And then I resigned here and had an opportunity to go to a high growth city in Little Elm, just north of the colony and just out of Denton. And I worked for Little Elm for 7 years or so, and I resigned there in actually this February, and had the opportunity to come back to Sachse as interim city manager. So here I am now, and so it's been a fun time. It really has. So.
What all have you? Now, what was the first time that you came to Sachse? What year was that?
In October of '97.
'97. So you've seen quite a bit of change.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you see as some of the, obviously the city's grown, but what do you see as some significant changes or improvements or deprovements or?
I think some of the major improvements is when I worked here before, the facilities that we're sitting in, we were planning for that, and I was instrumental in that bond program that we did, the 2006 bond sale, or the bond program that we put before the voters. And I was actually interim city manager during that election, and put together all the public presentations, even presented to the Historical Society, presented at Fall Fest, and helped sell that bond program that built these facilities that we're in. And then, of course, I left about the time that they started the design work. So it's been kind of fun to be back during this interim role to see the fruits of what was started back at that time. But yeah, a lot of growth, in this city, and I think there's a lot of good promise for Sachse as well.
What do you see down the road for Sachse as far as changes that might occur, or improvements, or businesses, or?
I think there's a lot of hope. What I'd like to see most is the George Bush corridor. If we can ever get commercial development going out there. As a finance guy and a numbers guy, I think that development in our southern part of the town will certainly bring some more economic growth, which diversifies our revenue more for sales tax and future property tax growth as well. That hopefully can give the city resources to do other things, such as improve our internal streets, make improvements on Highway 78 for beautification and trails. I think this community is certainly, ready for that, for trails and that kind of development. And I think there's a lot of promise, a lot of good things on the horizon for Sachse.
The 78, is it pretty well? It was 2 lanes and then 4, now it's 6. There's probably not much capability to enlarge that as far as.
Probably not, because there's not a lot of depth for the property that's along 78 for big box stores. But to me, a lot of times in economic development, branding for the city, meaning entryway, monumentation, sidewalks, trails, and just cleaning up the corridor. That part brings other businesses to town, whether it's sit-down restaurants or whatever. But I think sometimes aesthetic stuff that you do certainly gets people and other developers and other retailers interested in our town. And I think that makes a difference.
Are there any other large stores like Walmart or Kroger, or some of them that are planning on coming here that you're aware of right now? I know,
of course, we have Walmart.
Right.
2 Walmarts.
2 of them, yeah.
But not that I'm aware of. I think what our council is challenging on is to really bring sit-down type restaurants to our city.
I've heard that comment.
I think we would do well on the 190 corridor, maybe with a racetrack or a quick trip, or even on Highway 78 if there was room enough to put a facility like that. But I think there's some redevelopment in my thinking of the 5th Street area, where 5th Street and 3rd Street, the old town Sachse. I'd love to see that redeveloped and maybe multi-use in there with mixed use with small retail shops and creating a town center for the town. I think that'd do well for our community, I believe.
Yeah, we don't really have a downtown.
No, we don't. Mm-hmm.
And that would be, that's something that's kind of missing here. We got so many other nice things, but that's one of the things.
If I was an economic development person for Sachse, that's what I would focus on. I'd focus on 190, and I'd focus on our downtown area, 5th Street, 3rd Street, kind of taken off from the 5th Street development where Mr. Smith's funeral home is, and that old town is doing some redevelopment in there back toward over the Baptist church. And it'd be really neat to create that downtown effect with retail commercial.
Yeah, there's room there to do something.
And there's property in there that's for sale, and it could easily, working with the right developer and the right planning, envisioning, I think it's very feasible, to get the right people in to work with that. And there's some financing tools that could be used in there with a TERS or a public improvement district, that we can work with the developers to fund that type of development. So there's options that would not cost the taxpayers that much money in order to do something like that.
That'd be nice. I've heard numerous people comment about having a downtown or stores or little shop things, and there's not that. Well, on 190, did you see, you mentioned about the Quick Trip and the convenience stores or something like I know the sports complex thing was, hopefully that's kind of on hold at this point, I guess, but hospital and some other things are those the sorts of things that you're
that's kind of
envisioning for?
Bobby, I'm understanding that. I think that's the hospital. I know they have a developer representing the Children's Trust property that's looking at a couple of different hospital groups to come into Sachse. I really don't know where that is. I know we have a meeting with them, or the new city manager has a meeting set up already in early part of June, to talk to that developer to kind of see where they are. Right. So at this point, I really don't know.
It's kind of on hold right now.
But there are, there's some developers that are knocking on the door with the realtor that's representing the property owners. They get calls every day for retail commercial in that corridor. And our issue right now is we do not have sewer. And I think if the city had sewer connections and sewer infrastructure down there and water, we would already see development. But we just need the sewer down there, and that's costly. And it could be funded by future developers as well. But I think if we had the infrastructure, so to build it and they will come. But but I think that would be.
There's a lot of traffic on 190 already, so.
There is in there.
So, what other things do you see that might be good for the city to look forward to doing here? We got the 190, the 78, the downtown. You mentioned some of those things. There's some other plans. I know the trails. We've talked about that.
Right.
Are there some other plans that you see that would be good for the city to kind of pursue?
Since being here as an interim, I guess coming from a city that, from the finance side, it takes money to do things, and I certainly realize that. But sometimes I've always known that, sometimes you have to make investments for things to really happen. You have to throw some money out
Yeah.
to invest, to turn other things, to get the momentum going and so forth. But I know the city that I came from, I always thought that branding and streetscape and beautification of entryways and boulevards was real. What did that really do for a community? And I saw it in Little Lamb, where I just came from, how we started making those improvements with different entry features and cleaning up, working cooperatively with HOAs in cost sharing your neighborhood fences on your major corridors to your city. And after we started doing that, it might have just been location, but retailers and commercial people were more attracted to our city because we had that look and feel that we cared about our city and we were doing things for improvement. And that kind of looking, as I drive into work and out to 190 every day, I think about Miles Road, how that's kind of a gateway to the center part of our city with our town hall. And I know it takes money to do it, but it would be nice to see Miles Road with streetscape design, with lamplighters on the thoroughfare, with street, with landscaping on the boulevard, and with the HOA fences, consistently, maybe with stone and board posts, and just to look nice. I think that would really make a huge improvement to our city and the look and feel of it. So.
Yes, that is kind of the primary entrance to the city complex
Right,
here, and
right.
And you go by the schools, they're nice.
Exactly.
Fix up the.
Mm-hmm. I know it takes money,
Yeah.
but there's ways to fund that type of stuff. You just got to be a little bit creative and think out of the box to figure out how you can do that without a huge cost to the taxpayer.
Yeah. Well, that's. Miles Road's come a long way since.
It has. It certainly has.
The 2-lane.
Right. It's
the,
of course Sachse Road as well.
Yeah, on the Sachse Road development, it's a couple of years off maybe from actually.
That's what we're thinking.
Construction.
2016, 17, and working with our good county, Dallas County. They're helping us with that project, so I think that's certainly in the near future.
Well, that'll get us from City Hall here on out to Murphy, basically, because with like a 4-lane.
Right.
Are there any plans for Sachse Road from here back toward Wiley?
There is. It's all in a design phase. It's like a 5 phases, and it's in the master comprehensive improvement plan for Dallas County for Sachse Road, and it's just probably a $20 million project or more, for that project, but it'll be done out over time as well.
It'd basically be like a 4-lane.
That is,
plus
yeah, it's 4-lane
street,
divided, right.
sidewalk.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's, it is a major thoroughfare, and with all the development up in Wiley, I really think that's the demand for that road to be widening is coming from traffic out of our community as well. But I think it'll eventually happen as a major thoroughfare.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic on that road
Right.
for sure. What are your plans when you leave?
That's a good question, Bobby. I'm probably more than likely I'm going to continue doing interim work. I have had a couple of job offers for other finance directors for other cities, and it seems like I've always done well in high growth cities. It would be nice to go to a city that is kind of built out and keep life simple, but
Calmer.
if you work in North Dallas, if you're going to go to work for another city, more than likely you're going to have to go to a city that's in some type of growth mode, because that seems like the story for all in North Texas. But
It's happening right now, isn't it?
it is. So, but yeah, I'm going to continue working. not fully retired, and don't. I still got some years left I want to work.
Do y'all live here? You don't live in Sachse?
I live in Carrollton.
Carrollton, okay, you got a little drive then, don't you?
Yeah.
Did your wife, does she work somewhere?
Yeah, my wife is with JCPenney. She's a 26-year career person with JCPenney Corporate. And, she's a bean counter and corporate controllers. And we have 2 boys, Reed and Connor. And they're young. They have one in college and one's working right now.
Well, so when is your last day here? Are you coming at the end of this month? In May?
End of this month, June 1st, when Gina arrives. Yeah.
Well, while you in your course of your history, have you met some interesting people along the way? It seems like we've talked to various people in these interviews that have met some crazy people, some interesting people, some notable people, and just average people that are interesting. Does anybody come to mind?
Not really. I know there's some good people in this town. Very, very good people that's contributed a lot to the community, and I think and you need that backbone. Mike Felix, I have a high regard for him. He's such a good people person, and really good for the community. And I think the town's been blessed to have him as mayor. He's a good guy.
Well, are there any other things you'd like to include in our presentation?
I appreciate it. It's kind of interesting. I wish the Historical Society, and that is another thing. I think when I was here before, I was instrumental in helping Lloyd get that old fire truck moved over to the Historical Society, because we got that title or whatever we had to do to get that old rusted out fire engine from the Public Works yard over to the
It's all fixed
Society.
up.
Yeah, it's very nice. I'm very pleased with what y'all done over there. It's exciting.
Just recently the EDC and approved by the city granted some funds to do some renovation work inside there, and it's we finished it up just a month or 2 ago now, and it's interesting little place, being part of the regional city hall, or one of the city hall complex, the jail cell, and
yeah, exactly. It's really nice. Y'all done a good job of that.
Thank you. And Lloyd has been very instrumental. He's still one of us,
Yeah, he is.
He's
even though he doesn't live here, he loves his community.
Yeah, he does. He's very good. Well, Alan, I appreciate it. We appreciate your being part of our city and community, and God bless you in your future endeavors.
Thank you, sir.